Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. Veterans Affairs recipients will receive automatic economic impact payments. Step follows work between Treasury, IRS, VA. IR 2020-75, April 17th, 2020, Washington. The Internal Revenue Service, working in partnership with the Treasury Department and the Department of Veterans Affairs, announced today that recipients of VA benefits will automatically receive automatic economic impact payments. Veterans and their beneficiaries who receive compensation and pension (CMP) benefits payments from VA will receive a $1,200 economic impact payment with no further action needed on their part. Timing on the payment is still being determined. Moving VA recipients into the automatic payment category follows weeks of extensive cooperation between VA, Treasury, IRS, as well as the Bureau of Financial Services. Quote, since many VA recipients typically aren't required to file tax returns, the IRS had to work with these other government agencies to determine a way to quickly and accurately deliver economic impact payments to this group, end quote, said IRS Commissioner Chuck Rettig. Quote, additional programming work remains, but this step simplifies the process for VA recipients to qualify and easily receive this $1,200 payment automatically. We deeply appreciate the sacrifices and service to our country by each and every veteran and their families, as well as the assistance of the VA and Bureau of Fiscal Services in this effort, end quote. No action needed by most taxpayers. Earlier this month, the IRS took a similar action to ensure those receiving Social Security retirement or disability benefits, supplemental security income, and railroad retirement benefits can receive automatic payments of $1,200. While these groups receive Forms 1099, many in this group don't typically file tax returns. Many people in these groups are expected to see the automatic $1,200 payment later this month, with SSI payments expected to start in early May. For eligible taxpayers who filed tax returns for 2019 or 2018, they will also receive the payment automatically. About 80 million payments are hitting bank accounts this week. For benefit recipients with dependents, extra step needed to claim $500 for children. Register now for early delivery. So in other words, if you fall into many of these different types of groups and categories where you don't file a tax return, they're setting up this automatic type of payment, which should be filed automatically. So you should be good there. However, if there is a situation where there's a dependent, then that's going to affect the amount of the payment. So the standard payment for a taxpayer would be the $1,200. The thing that would change that would be some type of dependent typically. So therefore, it should be automatic if you fall into one of these categories. However, if you have a dependent, then you still need to provide them that information in some way, shape, or form so that they can give you that $500 for the dependent. There's a couple tools that typically they have for that. Back to the text. The law provides eligible taxpayers with qualifying children under age 17 to receive an extra $500. For taxpayers who filed tax returns in 2018 or 2019, the child payment will be automatic. So to clarify here, we're not just talking about any dependent. We're talking about a qualifying child under age 17 could qualify for that $500. That's the information that the IRS may not have in certain situations. However, many benefit recipients typically aren't required to file tax returns. If they have children who qualify, an extra step is needed to add $500 per child into their automatic payment of $1,200 if they didn't file a tax return in 2018 or 2019. For those who receive this benefit, including VA, Social Security retirement or disability benefits, SSDI, railroad retirement benefits, or SSI, and have a qualifying child, they can quickly register by visiting non-filers interpayment info. So there's a link to that here. So they've created a resource for this type of situation. There's be a link to this in the description, and there's a link to that location here. Available only on the irs.gov website, so make sure when you're accessing this information, putting your information in, you're on the IRS website is at irs.gov. Back to the text. For those who can use this tool as soon as possible, they may be able to get earlier delivery of the child payments by having these added to their automatic payments. By quickly taking steps to enter information on the IRS website about them and their qualifying children, they can receive the $500 per dependent child payment in addition to their $1,200 individual payment. If beneficiaries in these group do not provide their information to the IRS soon, they will receive their $500 per qualifying child at a later date, depending on when they complete the registration process. The Treasury Department, not the VA, will make these automatic payments. Recipients will generally receive the automatic payments the way they receive their current benefits. For more information related to veterans and their beneficiaries who receive compensation and pension C&P benefit payments from VA, please visit va.gov. That's va.gov. Information for recipients using the irs.gov, non-filer, and Get My Payment tools. We'd recognize that many non-tax filing beneficiaries have already begun using the non-filers interpayment information. That's a tool here. There's a link to it here, back to the text. Tool to provide basic personal information to receive their EIP. There will be no interruption to payments being processed using this portal, and veterans with internet access are encouraged to continue providing information and track their EIP through the Get My Payment tool. So once the payment is out, then, or if you want to track, if they have your information, that's this tool. Again, there's a link to it here. Get My Payment. There'll be a link to this in the description. General information about the payment is available on the Economic Impact Payment Information Center section of irs.gov. That's pretty close to the front page of the IRS website, but there's a link to it here as well. Watch out for scams related to economic impact payments. The IRS urges taxpayers to be on the lookout for scams related to economic impact payments. To use the new app or get information, taxpayers should visit irs.gov. Make sure that you're getting it from the source, irs.gov, the IRS website, irs.gov. People should watch out for scams using email, phone calls, or text related to the payments. Be careful and cautious. The IRS will not send unsolicited electronic communications asking people to open attachments, visit a website, or share personal or financial information. Remember, go directly and solely to irs.gov for official information. They're repeating this multiple times because this is always a concern, but just note that obviously when this amount of payment and a bunch of programs going out are happening, the fraud that could take place will be greater. So therefore, just make sure anything that you receive, go to the IRS website to verify it. So if you want to verify your payment, if anybody's asking you about a payment or something like that, don't respond to it. Go to the source, go to the IRS website. That's irs.gov, irs.gov. Back to the text, more information. The IRS has posted frequently asked questions on irs.gov/coronavirus, and you can find that as a link here as well, and we'll provide more updates as soon as they are available.